نرحب بضيف هذا الأسبوع البكباشي بوب ستيوارت أو الكولونيل بالإنجليزي بوب ستيوارت اللي كان قائد القوات البريطانية في البوسنة، وهو عضو البرلمان عن دائرة بيكنهام. Welcome guest this week, Colonel Bob Stewart, MP for Beckenham. The big hoo-ha about the British-American relations in following Trump. Sorry, I made a mistake. The question should be first in Arabic. That's right. Okay, I repeat. Okay. نرحب بالكولونيل بوب ستيوارت عضو البرلمان عن بيكهام. Welcome, Colonel Bob Stewart, MP for Beckenham. هذا الأسبوع الحديث عن العلاقات البريطانية الأمريكية. Big story this morning, Anglo-American relations in the wake of electing Trump. ديلي اكسبريس بتقول اللي عكس امبارح في البرلمان عن إذا كان ناجل فرج حيعطي لقب لورد في مجلس الوزراء أو لا. Following yesterday PMQs, Daily Express here front page says, is Nigel Farage in line for peerage?
I don't know. Prime Minister said yesterday that these things are kept discreet, but it wouldn't surprise me. Why shouldn't he get a peerage? That man has changed politics in this country more than any other politician in the last 10 years.
امبارح وانا قاعد مع الكولونيل بوب ستيوارت قال سابني وقال راح هيقابل رئيس الوزراء. يا ترى قالت له حاجه على هذا الموضوع او على العلاقات مع امريكا او مع حلف شمال الاطلسي؟ Yesterday you left me with half a pint to go and see the Prime Minister. Did she mention anything about this? Did you discuss with her, or did she mention anything about the Anglo-American relations and their attitude to NATO?
She mentioned nothing like that. But I tell you one thing, with regard to Anglo-American relations, I think they are fine, they're really good as they are, and they're going to get better, because America will need us as we need the United States.
هل ناجل فراج المفروض يلعب دور في تحسين هذه العلاقة؟ Can Nigel Farage play a role in improving this relation with Downing Street right to turn him down?
I don't think he needs to. I mean, I think our relationship's pretty good at all levels. I mean, if he wants to play some sort of relation, let him do it. But frankly, the Prime Minister's going to have perfectly good relations with Donald Trump. A huge number of people in this country actually have quite a lot of respect for Trump, despite what the media says. I mean, the man has changed politics in the same way as Farage has changed politics. And I tell you why politics is changing. People are fed up with politicians. So they want someone different. And it's all very well Hillary Clinton going around saying, I'm the continuity candidate. I'm the one with experience. I'm the one that's actually been in the White House. And people say, yeah, that's right. That's exactly what we don't want. We want someone. I mean, you can't do it worse for us than has happened in the past. So let's give Trump a go.
And they're fed up with journalists too. أنا بقول لهم كمان الناس مقروفين من الصحفيين هم كمان. هل ترامب على حق في انتقاداته لحلف شمال الأطلسي خاصة للأوروبيين؟ وهل الأوروبيين مسألة اللي هم عايزين يعملوا جيش أوروبي ده جد ولا تهريج؟ Was actually Trump right about his criticism of NATO, especially the Europeans' not enough contribution to NATO and the so-called the European Union army? Is that a joke?
There's two questions there,
yes.
Adel. The first question, of course he's right. The Europeans, members of NATO, signed up to provide 2% of their gross national product to defence. They're moving at the speed of a striking slug, frankly. And if I was Trump, I'd say to them, you've got 2-3 years. Get it up to 2%, or we don't guarantee sending American troops, airplanes and ships in your defence. We don't do that unless you get up, get a grip. With regard to the European army, that would be mad. What we need now, more important than ever, is NATO. All this European army stuff is a load of rubbish, and it's double counting, and frankly, it won't work.
في مقابلة ماري لابين وكمان قالوا ترامب مع البي بي سي، قالوا هل ناتو لم تعد هي المهمة اللي بيقوم بها؟ يعني الأخطار دلوقتي غير أخطار الحرب الباردة. The Front National Marie Le Pen interview with the BBC, she said NATO is obsolete because its purpose should be changed. It's no longer Cold War Soviet bloc, it is terrorism. Trump people said something similar. Does NATO actually need to be evolved, need to be modernized because it's no longer the tactical battlefield that
When I was in the army, I was the military assistant to NATO's senior military officer, the chairman of the military committee. I was also, after that, the chief of policy at Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe. NATO has been changing all the time. If it hadn't changed, it would have gone by now. NATO now needs to look at being some kind of security organization for the West, with friends who are not necessarily in the West as well. So I think it's changed already. It's changed over the last 20 years, and it will continue to change. And, you know, before its primary purpose, quite honestly, was to keep the Russians out. This was in 1949, to keep the Russians out, to keep the Americans in, and keep the Germans down. Things have changed mightily since 1949. Now NATO is a kind of international defense organization that defends the interests of the West and people who think like us.
بس للمشاهدين، هل رأيك بالنسبة لرفع الدعم العسكري، الالتزام ناتو، بيدي بريطانيا فرصة أكبر من مع ترامب أنها تلعب دور مع أوروبا أكثر مع أوباما؟ هل رأيك ده أقلية ولا الأغلبية في البرلمان؟ As you correctly explained, you support increase in the military spending. Now Britain in a better position to play a more positive role in Europe with Trump than with under Obama. But are you a minority or a majority in this place, in the House of Commons behind me?
No, I don't think I am. I think the House of Commons over there is fully prepared to do everything it can. I think the Europeans have had a shock. We've all had a shock with Trump's election. No one forecast it was going to happen. I think it's rather intriguing that it has happened. But it wasn't forecast. But I tell you what, in Europe, it's a big wake-up call, you know, in defence, for example. You know, Europeans start paying your way. Why is it, how right is it that the Americans pay 70% of the cost of NATO, when if you put the economies of Europe alongside the United States, they're about the same, or perhaps Europe's a bit more.
Bigger.
I mean, this is absurd. I mean, and if Europe was to get its act together, it could defend itself if it was to get its act together, but it can't, and it won't, and it's great that we've got the Americans, and long may the Americans be a part of European defence, and they will be, because their interests are our interests.
Now we'll go for a commercial break. الآن الاستراحة قصيرة، نعود بعدها إلى ضيفنا الكولونيل بوب ستيوارت. طبعا احنا هننتهز فرصة وجود الكولونيل بوب ستيوارت معانا عشان يقول لنا ايه حكاية الطلقات دي. كولونيل بوب ستيوارت, welcome again. 68 gun salute for His Royal Highness Prince Charles, Prince of Wales. Can you explain to us? I never heard of 62 gun salute for his 68th birthday.
It's neither 68 nor 62, it's actually 61.
It was 61.
61. Sorry. And it's 21 for a royal birthday, 20 for being in a royal palace, that's the Tower of London, and 20 for being in the City of London. 61 gun salute at the Tower of London. You know what? Isn't that very British, and isn't it quaint? And what's the problem with this? It's great fun. If you have the gun salute in Hyde Park or Green Park, which isn't in the City of London, it's a 41 gun salute.
ده شرح عظيم جدا، بس وهنشوف كمان تاريخ ال 21 طلقه جاء منين. وطبعا بريطانيا هي احسن ناس تعمل البومب والاستعراضات الموسيقيه. 21 gun salute comes back from the old days Royal Navy, where a gun has to show they have no charges left.
I don't know quite where it comes from.
I think it comes from the Royal Navy, actually.
It would be the Royal
coming
Navy.
into
We're putting the guns out and firing them. Once you fire them, it takes a wee while to reload them.
But Britain is the best in the world in doing the pomp and doing all the sort of military. And of course, we're telling the audience about the Remembrance Day.
Yeah.
She all salute to the whole of Commonwealth. First World War, the Egyptian Labour Corps there, a whole Egyptian Corps was actually in there.
Well, I mean, Remembrance Day here remembers Egyptian soldiers just as much as British soldiers, and actually now.
And Arab and Commonwealth and
well,
Indian,
I
African.
actually think of the Second World War. I remember German soldiers. I mean, if you were a young German man in 1939 and your country called you up, you didn't actually start saying, well, actually, I don't agree. You do what you're told. And so, I mean, a huge number of people were killed in wars, and the vast majority of them are just doing what they think is right on all sides. And so, for me, Remembrance Sunday is not just wearing a red poppy here. That red poppy commemorates every person that's died in war, including in my own constituency. Mr. Hitler managed to kill 421 civilians with his bombing. So I remember them too. And I remember anyone that's actually killed in war. And it's tragic when you think what a waste of time war is and how we must try and avoid it at all costs. I say that as an old soldier.
دي بننهي المقابلة مع كول بوب ستيوارت بلمحة إنسانية، وعادة السياسيين هم اللي بيبدأوا الحرب والعسكر اللي ضحهم، نشكرهم من كل قلوبنا زي كول بوب ستيوارت، هم اللي بينهوا هذه الحرب وهم دلوقتي اللي بيقولوا سلام. I thank Colonel Bob Stewart on this actually very humanitarian, humble note, and on behalf of audience and the humanity, we thank the armed forces. We thank the soldiers for what they did for us. I just said politicians start wars, soldiers end wars, and soldiers like you, when they come in politics, they vote for peace.
We get it right, wrong both ways.
Oh, what is the end? I'm the wrong part of the queue. Can you put it in the correct part? The break. Okay. نشكر الكولونيل بوب ستيوارت على القبلة دي وعلى النهاية الإنسانية، وإحنا بنشكر كل الجنود الحرب، والسياسيين بيبدأوا الحرب، الجنود بينهوها، ولما جندي زي بيخش السياسة بيصوت للسلام. I thank Colonel Bob Stewart very much for this very humanitarian message. Politicians start war, and soldiers with their sacrifices make us live in peace. And when soldiers like him go to Parliament, they always vote for peace. And on behalf of audience, on behalf of myself, I actually thank soldiers like Colonel Bob Stewart. Thank you very much.
Thank you.